The Ultramarines, the 13th Legion, led by Rabute Gilliman, has always been one of great martial prowess. After the Horus Heresy, Gilliman himself wrote the Codex Astartes, which would detail how most Space Marines fight. The Ultramarines are famous in universe for many reasons, and famous in the real world for being the poster boys of the poster boys. Today, I, spoons rattling, are going to be showing you how to paint them, following the guide in an old book called How to Paint Space Marines, starting with a mix of KANTOR blue and black. This used to be Regal blue, but is now KANTOR blue, so we are using that to base coat basically the entire model, though they say to leave the Aquila and trim bare. I just painted it all to be quick. We can see here the first step from that book called How to Paint Space Marines. I leaned a bit more into the blue, whereas they leaned a bit more into the black. I realized that after I painted the model, however, I think it still works and gives it a bit of a personal twinge. This color is strong as it's black and blue, two strong colors. However, I still would give it two thin coats to really bring the color up to a solid, smooth finish. Here you can see me painting in high speeds. The next step after this is going to be sort of getting that iconic Ultramarines blue color. And what they recommended was mixing, what was it? Sorry, I can't remember the name. Ultramarines blue and Regal blue, which I use dark blue from Vallejo and KANTOR blue from Games Workshop, of course. And this you're going to want to apply on all the armor panels, but avoid the recesses. This is the first time I've tried to do this, so I gave it quite a wide berth, which leads to quite a dark look. Here you can see what they sort of did. Mine is a bit chunkier than this. For my first time doing it, though, I figured it was better to be safe than sorry. And I realized that this, again, like most things in painting, as I've said before, are a lot easier than they appear. Just take your time going from armor panel to armor panel and leave yourself a wide margin of error. That'll make the mistakes easier to fix, as well as sort of lessening the mental load that it takes for the concentration. I also recommend using one of these fat brushes, because they tend to hold a tip much better when using the cheapo brushes I buy from Michaels. From there, you get the color up to a nice smooth standard, and the panel lining that you set up in the first step really makes the model easy to read. It's actually kind of amazing, I think. You know, it's all very clear from the tabletop, too. The next step that I did was I used lead belcher, and I just used gold from Vallejo to paint the metallic bits. This guy has a robotic arm, so I painted that, of course, and the metal bits on his combi flamer. This guy was actually originally going to be a Chaos Chosen, but since the new kit came out, I would have had 15, and I don't really have a use for 15, so I decided to just use these guys for this series. So, here you can see me finishing off those metal bits, and of course, as per usual, I washed them with a black wash, though I didn't wash the armor, because I figured the panel lining did most of that work for me. I did wash the tip of the combi burner, that's the orc weapon, the combi flamer with black and brown wash. Here you can see the trim on his shoulder pads and his winged skull painted up in gold. And this is pretty much where the hardest part takes place, and to call it hard is kind of disingenuous, because it really isn't. Using, again, this fat brush, since it seems to hold its point best, I used heavy red, again, this is following a step from the book, to paint in the eye lenses. Again, even though it's a fat brush, it has a very nice point, so it made this very easy to do. Now this is going to be the first step in using 4 colors to do up the eyes, and it makes them quite striking. And I actually kind of prefer to doing my old wash method where I paint white and then wash the eyes, though I'll still use that most of the time. So just take your time and build up a few smooth layers of this deep, deep red before moving on to the next step. Now before I finished the eyes, I wanted to do something else that was the next step from the book, and that was to set up the highlights on the armor. So I mixed up a bit of 2 colors, that being White Scar and KANTOR Blue, to create quite a light blue. And then I simply edge highlighted any areas that were easy to reach, again using this fat brush with a very nice tip. I'd recommend everyone use that. It can be sort of counterintuitive, but it works quite well. This is the sort of step that I was aiming towards. You can see it's very faint, though I went for slightly more striking colors to combine step 2 and step 3, and to simply speed up the highlighting process. Now, if you're not super comfortable, I'd recommend doing your practice on the face of the Space Marine, as that's going to be obviously the focal point, as well as just drawing the most visual interest. You can see me highlighting his eyebrows here, or eyebrows so to speak. The eyebrows and his Vox grill are the most important things to highlight, as they draw the most attention to the eye, and with the panel lining, it luckily makes most things already quite segmented, which is the main use of using edge highlighting to increase readability. So if you're not super comfortable with it, don't rush, and just take it as you want. We all learn at a different rate, but remember, it's easier than it looks. Next up, we use a brighter red, in this case a MEPHISTON red, just to paint the front half of the eye lenses, so the ones that are near his nose, so to speak. Now this, I did take the model off screen because I had to really get in there close, and the way I have my camera set up isn't exactly perfect for that. But once you get that, again, built up with a few smooth colors, I actually used orange ink to do just a touch of orange in the very, very inner centers of his eye lenses. This about wraps it up, and I don't think I got it on camera, but I did add 2 small white dots to the back corners of his eyes just to add a sort of lens shine effect to it. Here's the final model. I did a bit more highlighting with the gold and a bright silver, however I didn't really do much else besides paint the belt. My name has been Spoons Rattling. This has been episode 1 of 104 in painting every Space Marine chapter ever. If you want to see that all, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.